We are joined now by our Chase Houle. Chase, you've been following this story out of Gilmer County for months now, and today you have an update for us. For people who maybe are just catching this now, let's start here. Fill us in on the backstory of what you have been reporting on out of Gilmer County.
Yeah, so basically November, we'll take it back there, 2025, which seems like forever ago as we were just talking about. Well, a woman claims she reached out to me and said, look, Chase, my son was grabbed by his crotch by an older student on the bus. My son went to the bus monitor. The bus monitor went to the school district, and the school district said, well, it's boys being boys. It's just horseplay. It's not
That's
a big
what the
deal.
school said?
That's what the school said.
Verbatim? They called it horseplay?
Per the mother, that's what they said. And so basically, she was really upset about this. She was like, my son was essentially sexually assaulted. And so she went and filed a Title IX complaint. For those that may not know what a Title IX complaint is, it's a federal mandate that says, look, schools, you have to investigate complaints of sexual assault, sexual harassment between students. You have to. And if you're found that you did not investigate it in the best way, you're going to lose funding. So anyways, they investigate this complaint, and they come to find out, hey, no, we think it's still horseplay. But the kicker is, what I just brought you guys a couple weeks ago was this incident. Charges were brought against the kid by the DA of Gilmer County. And according to the family, that kid who allegedly sexually assaulted that woman's son took a plea deal in the case.
What were the charges that were brought?
I'm not too sure. They didn't get into that because it is a juvenile case, but I was told that he pled guilty to battery.
Okay. And that was told by the family, right?
The family, correct.
It's a juvenile case.
So we can't get into it, as you know. The DA can't tell us that.
What has the school said, the school district said to you? I'm sure you've been in touch with them. I'm sure they've responded in some fashion.
Some fashion, sure. So, I've asked for interviews before. No interviews were given to me, just statements were given to me. And basically, all they say is, hey, we can't get into student information, disciplinary action among students. It's private. But we take Title IX complaints very seriously, and we investigate it to the best of our ability. That's really, they say.
Has law enforcement weighed in?
They have not. But again, it's a juvenile case, so they can't tell us much about it. We can't, it's like pulling teeth because, as it should be, it's ironclad when it comes to kids.
Sure. And you have an update now. You have been continuing to report out this story. Today, where do things stand?
So, again, that has been that it was dismissed, the Title IX complaint, but now another parent reached out to me and said that their stepdaughter, a group of boys, grabbed her butt during practice, during a co-ed practice. They went and spoke to the coaches, the principal, and they said it was horseplay. And
that's according to this second family.
The second family, correct. So it's one of those things. So I reached out to a advisor who handles Title IX complaints about this, and I was like, "Look, you know me by now. I cut to the chase. I'm very to the point." And something that makes me curious is, okay, isn't grabbing someone's crotch sexual assault or at least battery? Could that be underneath Title IX? If a group of boys grabs a girl's butt on a field, isn't that, again, underneath Title IX? A lawyer said absolutely. So he thinks that their investigation fell short, and was really interesting for me today. And another thing that the dad and the lawyer both said to me today was, look, boys will be boys was 30 years ago. Times have changed. We need to do something about it.
You say you talked to an advisor today. Who was that, and are they connected with the school district? This is somebody independent.
So they have given advice amongst hundreds of thousands of Title IX cases across the nation. So basically what I learned today, lawyers don't necessarily deal with Title IX cases. It can get to that point, sure, but typically it's handled through advisors that will go to the school district and handle it that way.
And what did the school district, as I'm sure you reached out to them again today, what have they said in response?
Exactly what I said before. So, it was, hey, Chase, we can't get into student disciplinary action, as I've told you before. And they also said basically, which I thought this was interesting, that he did comment on it, though. So he said, I think I know who you're talking about.
He being whom? Just,
Sorry, the
folks
superintendent.
who aren't as well versed in this as you are.
Yeah, so the superintendent is the he, Dr. Ridley, I think is his name, I forget. But there's so many superintendents we talk to in a day. So, that being said, he did kind of shine some light into the situation by saying, hey, look, I think I know who you're talking about, and this was worked out between us and the parents, but the parents are telling me another story. So who's right here? I don't know.
Well, what comes next?
What comes next is I'm trying to figure that out. Let's be real here, because I understand that there's a lot of ways that this can go. The Board of Education I want to reach out to. I kind of want to learn a little bit more about what they know about the situation, about these various incidents. And look, these papers are other families. These are other families that have given me their written incident reports, one of which their child had to go get an HIV test after they were sexually assaulted at school.
Have you brought that to the attention of the school district? What have they said in response?
So I have not brought all this because I want to work it out with the families first. I want to do what's safe for them and what they feel most comfortable with, because at the end of the day, these kids are victims and which way they feel. And so we have to protect those kids.
Yeah, and we also have to make sure that the district has a chance to respond to this as well. So
exactly.
When you raise that, of course, we want to make sure that the district is getting a chance to weigh in. Where, you mentioned there's still some questions about where all of this goes. That first family, you mentioned, according to them, that battery, I'm going to choose my words carefully here, the case that they were talking about, according to that first family of the first alleged victim, ended in a plea deal to battery. Are they satisfied with how that all ended up?
I think that's a question for them that I'll ask them later, but I think if my child was allegedly sexually assaulted by another student, I don't think that I would be satisfied with the battery charge, and I'm letting you allude to what's going to happen next between the family and the school district. And what I will also say, too, is that there's a lot of, this is like an onion, there's a lot of layers to this, because the family also wants to protect that other student who allegedly did this. Again, he's a kid, and so these are kids, but again, you need to have consequences for your actions, and that's kind of what the family is saying at this point.
And that family, and just to draw this out, and this is the great thing about streaming, because we have a little bit of time here. When you talk about consequences and that family's perspective, the outcome they want is now a Title IX response that
Correct.
is satisfactory for them.
Correct, and that's the thing too. And adding another, again, this layer to this onion effect, we're looking at this as, okay, well, the school allegedly hasn't made accommodations as they're supposed to underneath Title IX. Anytime someone is sexually assaulted, they are given a battery charge. The two are supposed to be separated, the two students. They're still riding the same bus.
According to?
The school and to the family.
Well, Chase, I know you're going to stay on top of this. We will see
As
where
always.
it goes next. We appreciate your time.
Thanks.